Are you a people pleaser? Like I am? I've been so much of a people pleaser, in fact, that, well, it's impacted nearly every decision I've made in the last 10 years. There was a time when I used to judge the success of my life based on how people reacted to it. I used to carefully rehearse and refine my answers to questions like, what do you want to do and what do you want to study? Not that they actually cared much what I had to say, but my ego told me they did. They cared so much, in fact, that any wrong word would ruin their opinion of me forever. Even when I didn't know the answers myself, I always had something prepared. And I thought I was indestructible, so long as I had validation from others. But it was all a fallacy. Truth is, in the face of adversity, I was nothing but a house of cards. I was forever destined to be Karina the compliant, Karina the conformist, Karina the obedient, the perfect student, the people pleaser. So trust me when I say this, I've finally found something that works. And now, 3 years later, I'm ready to share it with you. If you dip nothing but your pinky toe into a cold river, did you actually get in the water? The answer is no, you didn't. You can't launch a business halfway and expect to garner a profit. You can't get partially married and expect the love to last. There is no greater misuse of your energy than committing halfway to something, to cutting corners on the path of least resistance. There is no greater insult to life than half-assed commitments, half-felt apologies, and half-hearted I love yous. You can't commit halfway to anything worthwhile in this life and expect something incredible or sustainable to come from it. No, devote yourself entirely to it. Don't reminisce, don't ruminate, don't discourage yourself at the first sight of a challenge, and don't cut corners. This is a world filled with professional corner cutters and take-backers. Make a decision, stick with it, and that already puts you ahead of most. Own up to your decisions, and you'll see your confidence soar. The next thing I did, not realizing just how monumental it would be, was I stopped explaining myself to everyone. No more carefully constructed, long-winded explanations to impress others. No more justifications and rationalizations for their appeasement. Before, I was fighting for their approval. I thought an explanation following everything I did was obligatory, for people to find me valuable in some way. And while transparency and honesty is something to be admired in a person, privacy is highly underrated and incredibly valuable to a person's self-esteem. I don't need to tell my best friend everything about my romantic partner, my deepest and darkest demons, my fears or my regrets. I don't need to tell my next-door neighbor about my new and brilliant business idea. I don't need to justify to anyone why I don't want to leave my house on a Friday night. I like keeping things to myself, and I don't like justifying my actions to others. I like to keep them guessing. I like to be underestimated, sometimes. Another thing I did to clear my head and make better life decisions was to carefully choose who I decided to take advice from. The advice givers of my life go through a moderate selection process, and that is how I like it. It's human nature to want an abundance of anything and everything. More options means better decisions, right? More advice, better outcomes? Not right. I believe that there are many ways to approach a single problem, and learning different approaches from different perspectives can be extremely valuable. But it can get to a point where there's simply too much advice to sift through. And, well, not all advice is created equal. Because, in the end, I have to live with the consequences of my actions. I cannot blame the advice giver, even if the advice was poor or misleading. That is why I listen to people I actually trust, who have my best interests in mind. I remind myself that advice will always be biased based on one's life experiences. I take it with a grain of salt, but I also cherish it and absorb everything that I can. That way, I'm more confident in the decision I ultimately make. Now, let's talk demons. Specifically, learning what your demons are and then welcoming them with open arms. If you accept the darkest parts about yourself, no one can hold them against you. No one can dangle them over your head or hold you hostage in your own guilt. Not to be confused with nurturing your demons. You don't want that. But don't fight them either. You accept them as part of you. Demons are the ultimate character builders. You have them to thank, at least partially, for your persistence, your endurance, and your grit. They are nothing to be ashamed of. I personally struggle from something I like to call my ruminating demons. I will make a decision, then pick apart every step where it all went wrong. I will torture myself with the what ifs and the why didn't yous. That's right, I'm a commitment phobe. Sound familiar? You've lost far too much energy fighting your inner demons. My advice is to treat them to a beer instead and let them talk for the night. Then see how you all feel in the morning. And for my final piece of advice, carefully establish your life convictions ethically and morally and abide by them. Do not let the mentality of the herd sway you. Do not let them belittle your true and honest beliefs. Do not let insults and petty comments fracture the systems you put in place for yourself. Now, I'm not saying be a blind follower of your beliefs. I am not saying be rigid and close-minded. Life is about constant reevaluation, revision, and exploration. You should always be open to critical thinking. And you should always analyze something in great depth before giving it space in the refuge of your beautiful mind. And when you do decide one day to sway a belief or two, or to change a system or three, let it be on your own terms, and no one else's. If you learned something of value from this video, I would greatly appreciate a like and subscribe. If I can help just one person become more optimistic for their future, then I'll be happy. Thank you so much for watching this far, and I hope to see you again in my next video very soon. Bye guys.